Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Racing the Races. So let's have a look at the flat handicap mark changes this week. Those that caught my eye, or they didn't change. There was a couple that haven't changed in this list. So the first one is Soto Sizzler, who's been left alone on 99 after finishing a good third at Epsom on ground that went against him. And if you actually watch the race, those two at the front stayed there the whole time. Soto Sizzler was the only one to make any impression. Moved into it nicely. You can see his win PR of 95.60. That means he reduced in odds by 95.6% in the run. So he came there looking like, I actually thought he was going to win, and then just got a bit tired late on, making his effort from the back of the field, on the ground. It just went against him, but that's how he has to be ridden, so it's not like they could have changed tactics. And they get to come back for this race next month, which they finished second in last year behind Royal Champion. It's worth double the prize money, and he runs here off 99. Last year he was running off 105. So yeah, I think he goes really, really close this year. So this is where we should see him next, Soto Sizzler, and I'd be very confident of a big run. The next horse I want to talk about is Isla Kai, who won for us at the weekend at 9-1. Went off sixes. He's got up £4 for that, and I've been saying him for a little while that he's getting well handicapped, and very well handicapped. He's up to 94, but that's still £6 lower than when he was running off 100 when he ran in this race here, the Royal Hunt Cup, and he finished 6th off 100. He's still £6 lower. The form's really good. He ran a really good race here. He's also won here before at Ascot. If we have a look, you can see he's got a win here, back here. So he's got a win, he's got a 6th, and he's got a 5th in Shelgar Cup. He likes Ascot. He's off a nice weight. He's back in form. He's got his win on under his belt. Yeah, I'd be really, really hopeful of a big run in the Royal Hunt Cup. Surely that's where they're going to run him next. The next horse I want to talk about is Perseverance. Now, normally I don't do this. He has gone up £1 to 78. Now, I don't really know where they're going to go with him, but he's one that I do want to keep an eye on for a couple of reasons. One, when he goes forward, he runs much better races. He ran well at Doncaster when he went forward. He disappointed at Redcar when he was held up. He ran better at Ripon when he went forward, or he was more prominently ridden. And for me, he bumped into a ridiculously well-handicapped horse in Isla Kai. So to only go up £1, having bumped into a really well-handicapped horse, when they get a race where there's probably not a ridiculously well-handicapped horse, which there are races, there's plenty of those, I think Perseverance is one that's going to go close very soon. The next horse I want to talk about is a horse called Vintage Clarets, who... he disappointed for me. He only finished 4th at Ripon when I thought he ran a really eye-catching race at Musselburgh the time before behind Silky Wilkie. And yeah, I think that would be a disappointing effort at Ripon. It may just be that the course wasn't right for him. So I hope that they target a race next time at a course where he's got some good form. And I really hope they go for this race at Ascot. There is a 6 furlong handicap. You can see that the 5th race there, 76 to 95 handicap, the Peroni Nastro Azzurro handicap stakes. He's only been to Ascot once, and if we have a look, he finished 3rd in a Group 2. I was going to say a Group 3. He finished 3rd in a Group 2 in June 2021. He's not been to Ascot since. I'm hoping they go to Ascot here and just find out whether he is a Wokingham horse. Do I mean the Wokingham? I think I do. Let me just double check. What did I put on here? Yes, whether he's a Wokingham horse. Yeah, run him over 6 furlongs. Run him at Ascot and see if he does maybe like Ascot. More so than he did Ripon. You sometimes find that you can highlight horses. You think they're really eye-catching. You think they're really they're going to run a big race. But they just run at a course that doesn't suit them. And we can see that he'd never been to Ripon before. So we could kind of potentially say that maybe Ripon wasn't the right course for him. If he turned up at Windsor, or if he turned up at Catterick, or back at Musselburgh, or at Ayr, or at Beverley, then maybe he could be interesting. or obviously Ascot. If he turned back up at Ripon, would I be as keen on him? Probably not, to be honest. Because I think he had everything in his favour and he wasn't able to win it. But sometimes it's the course that beats a horse, not necessarily that they're not that well handicapped. So he's one I want to give another chance to, and I hope they go to Ascot with him. Moving on to Mondamege, who ran an eye-catching race off 99 at Ripon, and he's dropped another £2 to 97. So he's starting to get really nicely handicapped. He's been running off higher marks and in graded races for a long time. But I thought this was the first run for a little while of some real promise. And I hope they go back to York with him. There is this race at York, the 5 furlong Lindham York Handicap Stakes, for horses rated 86 to 105. Now, last time he ran at York, he actually finished, this was over 5 furlongs, he finished second on good to firm ground. And yeah, I think he's down to a mark now that he can certainly run a big race in a handicap. So yeah, he's one that I'm quite keen on next time, especially if he goes to York. The next two horses both probably have the same race in mind. And they are Ross Collin, who's down £2 to 97, who wasn't put in the race, in my opinion, at Haydock. What do I think they're trying to wait for him for? It's got to be this race, hasn't it? The 7 furlongs Buckingham Palace Stakes, where he was very, very unlucky. He finished third and didn't get the clearest of runs. I think they're aiming him at that, and they've been not deliberately running him poorly, but I think there was no interest in the race at Haydock. He's finished 8th. Yeah, I don't think they were that interested in what happened. They were just getting run into him and getting a bit of fitness. He might have £1 or £2 more to play with, being rated 97. And they might run him somewhere else that doesn't quite suit, get him covered up and get him to finish, 5th or 6th and drop another £1. So he's one that we might see again before Royal Ascot. But the one I hope we don't see again is Montasib. Now, Montasib, if he had got a clear run at Haydock, would have won. He was very, very unlucky back in 4th. Didn't get a run at all. And off his mark of 98, which he's been left on, I think he will win a handicap very soon. But for me, I just hope they don't waste him on a 10 grand, 15 grand handicap. If they run him in a handicap on good ground and he gets a clear run over 7 furlongs, he'll win it. I really think he's that well handicapped, and I think he's come back this season just as good, if not better, than last year. So do you really want to run him again and potentially go up £5 and end up at Royal Ascot off a £5 higher mark? Or do you want to wait, hold him back for the Royal Ascot race, the race that he finished 5th in last year? Let me just check something as well. Was that his first run of the season? No, it wasn't. He had some runs. Do you really want to potentially waste his handicap mark winning a nothing race, or do you want to go back to Royal Ascot? And I think he will take all of the beating in the Buckingham Palace Stakes off his current mark. I'd be more confident of a really big run from him than Ross Collin, only because Ross Collin's very in and out. You can see that his form, he's got a few thirds recently, but hasn't actually won since June 2021. Whereas Montasib, if you look at his form, he's had 3 wins. He had a 5th, 4th, 2nd, 19th, 4th. So he's only had the one really disappointing run. That was on his return this season on heavy going, which he didn't like. So yeah, he's one that I think they've got to go straight to Royal Ascot with. So there's some horses. Soto Sizzler will go to Epsom next time. I know you'll take all the beating if the ground is good. Isla Kai, I think they should not rush him, go to the Royal Hunt Cup. I'd be very confident of a big run. Perseverance, wherever he runs, they just need to go forward with him. Vintage Clarets, I'd like to see them try him at Ascot to see if he is a Wokingham horse. Mondamege can win a handicap very soon off his low mark now. Probably the York one on Thursday the 18th of May looks good. And Ross Collin and Montasib, both for the Buckingham Palace Stakes, but I think Ross Collin might have one more run in between to get him to drop maybe £1 or £2 more.